All right. Hey guys, this is episode 9 of Happy Fun Music Time, a special quarantine podcast about music. I'm here with my co-host Alex Salas, and I'm here with Mike Julian and Bryce Smith from Rivaltown. I hope I got your names right.
Yep.
Perfect. So how are you guys doing today? What have you guys been up to since we're all locked up?
I just think what every other musician's been up to, just as much creativity as possible, just writing, mixing, whatever creative project you can take on.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, a lot of, I'm sure you guys get it too, but most of the world obviously shut down, and especially being a musician, you kind of had this, surplus of extra time to try and get ahead for when the world gets rolling again for the music industry, right? So we're just kind of planning out way further in advance than we usually ever do.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. And I saw, because you guys put out Useless Hands sometime last year. I don't know the day. And you guys said that you're already working on your third album. Is that going to be a full length?
It started off as just honestly, around Christmas, you have those few weeks off, and Mike and I just kind of started messing around with some ideas that have been sort of sitting around. We kind of wanted to do a little shift in genre change again, just to keep sort of broadening our horizons. And then the songs just came out so cool, and they just fell into place way quicker than anything else we've ever written. And then it sort of bloomed into this new record that we just started tracking the past few months, and it's just stuff that I think we're on a whole other level right now of songwriting compared to even our previous release.
That's awesome. I listened to some of Useless Hands. It was pretty dope. It kind of had a sort of a heavy pop punk kind of thing going on from what I listened to. What is the new record? What is the genre shift? What does it sound like?
Do you want this one, Mike, or you want me?
It's a little more structure-wise, definitely a lot poppier structure-wise.
Oh, okay.
For sure.
It's it's definitely, I don't know, I because there's heavy stuff on there for sure. But I think our goal on these songs is every song we want to have the biggest cavity-inducing hook you've ever heard. We just want
to write songs that get
super hooky. Yeah.
Yeah, they're every one of these songs is just stadium hook type thing, right? We're just we're basically tailor writing them to be stuck in your head, and I think we're definitely accomplishing that.
Oh, fair enough.
How are you guys recording it? Going to a studio, or are you recording it all yourselves?
Pretty much doing it ourselves. I have a home studio that I record my stuff at. So does Bryce. We both have our own home studio setups. We've been communicating back and forth through the internet, but we see each other when we can. But it's been going pretty well.
Cool.
Yeah, we got a cool system actually. A lot of I've seen a lot of bands put out some stinkers doing it that way, but it seems to work for us actually. If we had the budget and the time, obviously we'd love to go into a great big fancy studio with a producer and stuff. But our budget with our label kind of limits us to where we want to sit comfortably. So we sort of know what we found a good rhythm here where I'll track all the instruments and the rest of the guys here. And then I'll send it to Mike, and he'll kind of produce on his end and spend some extra time with vocals. Where sometimes when you're in a studio, you know how you get rushed. So Mike, he can take a few days and really work on a song versus having to bang it out in 2 hours.
That's good for the vocalist, especially.
That definitely feels nice, yeah.
Because you're not, you don't have to sort of do all your craziest parts in 1 or 2 8-hour sessions, right? Or your voice could be a little worn out or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. If I feel worn out the one day, I can just, either chill, wait an hour or so, and try again. If it's still not working, I'll just call it a day and try it again the next day.
A ton of harmonies and stuff because it's poppy and hooky, like you were saying. Is there 18 layers of vocal tracks on each song?
There are definitely a lot of vocal layers. Yeah, I really, really like playing around with that kind of stuff. Definitely a lot of backing vocals, a lot of harmonies, a lot of oohs, ahs, all that kind of cool stuff. Yeah, I definitely love playing around with that stuff.
And in terms of the influences, like what changed, I guess is the question, because your last record was more heavy pop punk kind of sound. This one's more poppy. What's the difference in like what you've been listening to, like your musical diet between the two records?
Honestly, what it came down to is I don't know how much you guys have listened to the last record, but I mean it's kind of a themed record. A lot of it is revolves around kind of one topic. And we wrote it that way on purpose, and I kind of almost consider it almost like a post-hardcore record. And I think we just wanted to try that when we first got Mike joining into the band, because he could scream, and we always wanted to try some screams in our songs. And it sounds great, but I think we were forcing a lot of stuff because we wanted to get material out. And I love the album. I love the way it came out, but there's parts where I now listen to it, and I would have thought, well, maybe I would have done that differently. And now I feel like these songs are just kind of the way they flow. The one thing you'll notice about the new material is the vocals are like the vocals were great on Useless Hands, but they're on another level on this album. Like we're just basically like it's made for 200 people to sing along with every single time, and which is a good thing. And as far as our influences, I don't think mine have really changed much. It's just the dynamic of where I'm coming from, and in my writing, I used to overthink that every song had to be specifically about my own personal experiences, my own influences and things I like that. But now I've sort of taken a different approach to writing lyrics now, where I'm kind of trying to write from other people's perspectives, so I'm not just locked into my own experiences. I'm sort of trying to think, all right, well, actually a few of the songs in this catalog are about other members of the band as if I were them. That's kind of how I'm trying to yeah, it's weird. It's just because it gives me a whole new you run out of material. I mean, when you're a pop punk guy, you can only write about how depressed you are for long enough. Eventually you got to start looking for some new influence, and I found that songs have actually fallen into place way quicker and way easier with this sort of writing style.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure you guys have built a lot more chemistry now that you already have one album under your belt, right? So it probably feels more natural now, and tighter, I bet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was a while, because we had another singer with us for a few years, and Mike only joined maybe a year and a half ago, and a lot of it was just Mike learning how to adapt to our style, and us learning how to use Mike and utilize him properly, because he kind of comes from more of a metalcore genty background, where we come from that skate punk early 2000s type thing. So
we actually sorry to interrupt, we actually played with Mike's old band in Falset before, so that
a couple times.
yeah so that we know about his old band and everything, and
Mm-hmm.
And then we heard your guys' name before, but I don't think we ever played with you guys. But yeah,
shockingly,
so you guys had to mesh those two different styles.
Mm-hmm.
It ended up working out, though, especially, I think, like I said, with this batch of releases, I think Mike sounds more, just from my own, how I see it, I think Mike's comfortable, if that's fair, Mike. I don't know if it feels like you're you're not rushed either, right? You can
exactly. That was a big factor, was the last album. I was a little rushed, which I understand as well, because you guys had that material for a while, so it was time for you guys to release something. So I was trying to pretty much bang it out as quickly as possible and have it still sound good while doing it quick. But this one, I definitely had time to sit on it. We still have lots of time to just sit on it and make adjustments. And yeah, it's definitely nice.
So so Mike, you would come in and they had all the songs written already, and it was up to you to write your own vocals to all the tracks. That was the process for that one.
No, a lot of it was done. There was a few tracks that I definitely rewrote a lot of vocals, but there was definitely a lot that Bryce, especially the ones Bryce already had, I left a lot of those. I maybe changed just a few things. There would have definitely been a few other things I would have liked to have changed, but due to time, I couldn't change it. But a lot of it was written by Bryce as well. I had definitely a say in that. Well, I had a say in a lot of it, but I definitely changed a few songs.
Cool. That's giving me major Faith No More vibes. I don't know if you know that story when they hired Mike Patton.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's a similar situation to what I'm getting from this, which is really cool. And now I gather that you played with them for longer. This new record is gonna be more indicative of your style, I guess. Would you say you're bringing that poppy or element, or was that the whole band was like, oh yeah, let's do it?
Honestly, it wasn't like a collective decision to go on this popular route. It just happened. It was we just started writing stuff, and Mike and I got together earlier in the year and worked on a couple of songs, and we were sitting in his studio one day, and we're like, holy shit, like this is a really cool direction for us, and it doesn't feel forced like a lot of bands where some people are like, when they think we're going to switch to a popular route, they're expecting us to sound like Simple Plan, but it's definitely not like that.
It definitely still sounds like us.
It sounds like Rival Town, but it sounds like a mature. Anytime we've showed anyone any of the new material, they're like, "This is like, you guys have like locked in on what you should always sound like," and we're like, "That's a great compliment." But the thing is, like, what I usually do is I'll start with a base of what I hear in my head, and I'll usually send that to Mike, and then I just tell him to just go nuts and like do whatever he wants and change this, rewrite whatever he wants so it fits, and he makes it his own song. And I know that in his previous band, he had a little bit less creative freedom as far as the vocals went. He kind of had to do as he was told, but I guess now I'm just trying to let him. I want the songs to be his as much as they are ours, right? So
yeah,
he's going to be the one singing them every night on tour, so we want to make sure that he feels like he's connected to them.
It was definitely a nice, refreshing change for sure.
Yeah, and I think like the kind of more collaborative effort, like sort of when you guys all have your own input, it makes the music more unique. At least I know that from my own experience, right? Sort of when everyone has their hand, they add their ingredients to the pot, right?
For sure.
See, like I've seen different sides of that whole spectrum, where I've seen. Like it's the whole Metallica story, right? As soon as they started writing shit together, it was fucking terrible. Sorry if I'm not allowed to swear. But like,
this is an R-rated podcast.
Oh, perfect. Like I find that I think someone always needs to bring a base layer of a song, like a basic structure, an idea, and then everyone can build on that. Versus like. I used to hate when you'd sit at a band practice and like, okay, I got a riff, let's try and like literally make this from scratch, and it always feels so forced, like you're just trying to rush a part and just get to the next section of the song.
Well, it's like trying to create a song out of nothing, right? Like
exactly. Yeah. Usually, most people, let's be honest, they when they get inspired, it's because they were listening to something else, and they're like, well, shit, how do I subtly rip that off and make my own version? Like that's pretty much every song ever. So it's like you kind of got to find your rhythm and your own inspiration on your own time, and then your band can add their own colorful elements to each song.
Yeah, that's more what I meant, because of course there's levels to it, right? If it's always just out of a pure jam, it's pure chaos, right? But it's nice when everyone can sort of add like a little flavor, a little bit of like a dynamic change or something like that, right?
Yeah, if you're one of those like Prodigy like level bands like Protest or something, then I mean he can sit there and write this godly masterpiece just like everyone together. But I find all of us kind of usually like the main songwriters are myself, Mike, and Chris, and we kind of just we'll send each other ideas, and then we'll sort of hammer them out from there.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's cool. So Protest you mentioned. Are there any other bands that maybe individually you want to mention as inspirations, or musicians, or albums, or anything like that?
You can go first, Bryce.
Everybody in the band is ingredients except for Mike. Usually, it's like we all the five of us like love the same like batch of bands and music and influences, and then Mike always comes out of left field with like something that everyone just rips on him for. But I mean, that's
there are band similarities, but I definitely have a bunch that they definitely don't listen to.
Like what? Like what?
What's
are some
your
of those
favorite
bands?
band that Bryce hates? I want to hear that.
Right off the bat, Dance
Issues.
Gavin Dance. Oh, I knew that's when I was gonna bring up the whole band thinks I love Issues. I like few Issue songs.
But you really like those songs.
It's funny because my co-host and I have the exact same conflict. I love Dance Gavin Dance, and he really does not at all.
Yeah.
Well, it's
just one of those bands.
But it's like usually like with a lot of the bands Mike likes, I can't deny the skill and talent level of the band. Like I know that I'm listening to like really well written, produced shit. But for me personally, I'm a huge lyrics guy. Like I mean, like my favorite like lyricist.
And Dance Gavin Dance is definitely a lot of.
I'm not a lyrics guy.
Lyrics.
That's like.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like when I listen to Dance Gavin Dance, it's like he's just looking at shit in his room and writing it.
Yeah,
like that's the thing that kind of makes me crazy. I'm like I can't relate to this at all.
Fair
but
enough.
I mean, like,
hey, they make it flow.
I've always just been a delivery guy.
And you know what? More power to you, because there's a lot of bands that they have huge followings based off that exact formula. Like it's if you can sell it melodically, then I mean, who cares what it really sounds like? But I'm like, my favorite lyricist, I guess band is the Wonder Years, right? And they're all about like just reaching down and grabbing your soul. Like that's my whole thing. So it's
I really like his side project.
Oh yeah, man, that's
Aaron
level.
West and the Roaring Twenties.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's definitely some very, very powerful music.
Yeah, there's like that would be I don't know. Like I said, I dig like a lot of their structures and their writing as far as music goes. Some of those bands' lyrics are so fucking bad that I just can't. Unless he ever hears this for some reason and doesn't want us to like open for them, then I take it all back.
Well, I'll be sure to tag them when I upload.
Yeah.
So.
Bryce from Rivaltown thinks you suck, but no, it's I think it's mainly it just comes down to vocals with Mike and I. Like musically, I understand these bands are dope.
Oh, fair enough, man. That the music, like I think it's like very subjective, like what people like and what they don't like. There is a level of objectivity, like you've got like your Etienne Sins, your Broken Sides of the World, which I think are like objectively bad. Yeah. But sort of every like serious project, I think, is very subjective if they're good or not.
Yeah, there's always those. Do you guys ever watch that that YouTube channel, the Punk Rock MBA or whatever it's called?
Yeah.
I've seen a few episodes of that. Yeah.
That guy is just an absolute genius as far as like dissecting why people like these things. He's so objective to it too. So it's I've been watching a lot of his stuff lately. Just
I gotta check that out. Punk Rock and
NBA. You'd love him, dude. A lot of your favorite bands. He goes,
I'm write that in right now.
He just did a whole 20-minute episode the other day on like why people like Dance Gavin Dance.
That's what I watched.
Like Dance Gavin Dance. But he literally went into like exact detail of why people do like it.
Oh, I've seen this guy before.
Yeah, he's really cool as far as being objective to just musical topics.
Cool. I could check more of that out.
He helped me understand why people don't like DGD. So I was able to see the other side of it a bit better. Yeah, and I was less like, it's blasphemy. How can you not like them? Like, yeah.
Yeah, it came down, I think, to a lot of it. It's just like a lot of people hate fandoms too. And like, you know, people like DDR, like they have this cult fan base, and people just find that annoying. Like they can't. It's just literally it takes nothing to not like it. And I know there's a lot of bands like those guys.
It can come off kind of obnoxious, right?
Yeah, because you know their fans think they're like god tier bands, and to them they are, and I get it. My girlfriend's favorite band has that same sort of a cult fan base. You guys remember The Maine?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god, you gotta look. Like I thought that, like I just forgot about them. I thought it was like a thing, like that was a 10-year-old band, and then they have this insane cult fan base, man. Like if you look at their social media stuff, how they how they sell themselves is insane. Like they've been independent for like 15 years, and they own like 20 pop-up stores of just selling their merch that are like all over, like stores. You can go into like the mall, and
like brick and mortar,
like
like
it's
yeah,
that's
they
crazy.
just sell
Genius
main
marketing
merchandise. Like,
yeah, and like
jeez.
I've gotten a lot more into them. I was kind of digging a lot more since she's sort of been opening my eyes to that whole world. But I mean, as far as there's a lot of bands like that are just genius marketing too. Like Attila, everyone knows kind of sucks, but they're genius marketing. like I mean, I don't know.
It's the same with I Prevail.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't say I'm a fan of either of those bands, but they are
Yeah,
great marketers. You're right.
I'm with you, buddy. I'm with you.
Can't deny
But
though
they
that-
know how to market themselves.
Yeah.
exactly.
That's
Mhm.
if everyone
Yeah.
could do that, I'd be in their position. But it's tricky. That social media is tough.
You guys have played with some cool bands, though, right? Like, what are some of your favorite bands that you've opened for or played with, shared a stage with? Like,
We were. Oh, jeez. I don't know. Some of my favorites. Personally, for Rivaltown, we opened for Gob. Remember those guys?
oh my god, foot and mouth disease. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
Gob.
That's awesome.
We opened for them a couple
Classic.
times. I don't know if you remember this big skate punk band from like the 2000s called Millencolin.
Oh yeah, I know.
Oh, vaguely, yeah.
Yeah, we opened for them once. We've opened for what was that? It's the big emo band. They who sings Hawthorne Heights.
Really? That's cool.
Played with them. We toured with a couple of like friend bands that are kind of at that next level. We did a tour with We Were Sharks and a few other bands like Boys of Fall.
Belmont.
We toured with Belmont.
Yeah,
we played
Belmont,
with-
yeah.
I got to play with All That Remains, my last band. All That Remains is really cool.
That would have been
Oh no way.
Yeah.
That's some pretty big names.
And then, as far as since Mike's been in, I don't know anyone else. I can't really think of Mike that's been.
We
I
just
did,
played the Belmont one, I remember.
And we did like the Seaway, like Pacific, and all like every band in Ontario open for those guys. But no, yeah, we've been pretty fortunate because when the band all started in Thunder Bay, Ontario, right? So it's like a little city up in the north, and we sort of played the same 3 venues as much as we could for a year, and we're like, well, that's great, we can pack these shows now, but no one gives a shit when you're outside of your hometown, right? So we just packed up the whole band and moved to Southern Ontario, and then we ended up finding Mike later on.
Oh, so you guys moved to St. Catharines like as a group?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, I didn't know that part of the story. That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot of. How did you? Was that something that you had to convince the other guys to do, or was it something
Well,
that
what
everybody,
happened, one of our members, he was gonna move here, and just kind of quit the band. We're like, man, we can't break up the band. And then we all started thinking, we're like, well, where should we move? Let's try this for real. And we thought, at least with St. Catharines, our main argument was we were so close to the border, so we could hop over and start doing States tours. And then we live in the GTA technically, but we're not paying GTA prices to live here. So it was kind of like sort of that perfect spot. We're close to everything, and we can just kind of. We mainly moved here just to be able to tour, right? And then it's been great for state stuff though, because you're literally we're like 15 minutes from the border.
Right there.
Wow, that's cool. Wow. And do you guys all live in a house? Like, are you renting like a? Yeah.
We did that shit for like 3 years, man, and it was an eye opener. Like everyone thinks it's gonna be amazing because
Living with your friends.
Yeah, we all live together. We're gonna jam together, and it's gonna be awesome. And there is a lot of perks to it because you can literally just be like, "Yo, let's go upstairs and jam for a minute." But the worst part is after you've just been on the road together for 2 weeks and you're sick of just sitting in a hot van.
They're still there.
Yeah, you're sick of them.
See is your band.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everybody kind of split up this last fall. We all moved out, and everyone's kind of living. We're all close, but we're all aside from Mike, we're all within 10 minutes of each other. But Mike's only still a half hour away, so it's not that big of a deal. I know he's moving closer to us eventually too, so it's very easy for us just to rehearse and get together.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Fair enough. So
yeah, it was very healthy as far as our sanity went, not being able to see each
some
other.
time apart.
Yeah, we appreciated each other a lot more, I think, after. Like, me and Chris, our other guitarist, you know how there's a couple of members in the band that never get along?
Oh,
and, yeah, like every band has the two guys that just bicker no matter what. And that was Chris and I for years and years. And we still do bicker a lot, but we've actually gotten a lot tighter since we stopped living together.
Oh, distance makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah, well, we talk every day now, and it used to be like, oh my God, we don't even want to be in the kitchen together. But now it's like we get along a lot better. We're on the same page as far as writing goes, and then it's made our relationship a lot better.
Good.
Yeah, that's great.
Where did the band name come from, by the way? Rival Town?
We when we were trying to think of a name, we were how do we do it? We had like a Bristol board or something in the basement, and basically we just left a marker there, and anytime someone had something, they were just go over and write down a name on the board, and then eventually before our first show, we gotta fucking have a fucking band name. So originally, I think the band was going to be called Runner Up, and we talked. There's another one was like High Score, and then we're like, these are so cheesy. And then I think someone just said Rival Town one time at a band practice, and we're like, that's it. And then we all just kind of collectively agreed on that.
Oh, that's
cool.
It's good you guys agreed that easily. Not to like talk about myself on an interview that's about you guys, but we took a very long time to come up with the band name for our old band, Kill No Albatross. It was a very grueling process, and we all disagreed on everything. And what I was going to say was Rival Town works for you guys because one of the things we kind of agreed on was it has to pass the Google test, right? You have to be able to Google the band name, and like that's the only thing that pops up, right? So like like Rival Town I think accomplishes that, but maybe like High Score or Runner Up probably wouldn't, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, because if you search High Score, it's like, what's that? Like you get like arcade scores or something. But yeah, it took us like months to agree on Kill No Albatross, and we had multiple votes, and like it was gonna be Kill the Albatross or Kill No Albatross, and everyone was like tolerant of it. No one was like fully happy. If you want to speak on that, Alex, but
No, that's like the hallmark of compromise when no one's happy. You know?
Collectively miserable. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, we. It's funny because the Rival Town thing, there's a band that we learned after the fact called Rival Sons.
Oh, no way.
You don't know, I didn't realize they were this huge fucking band, but anytime we're playing like these random venues in cities we've never played, there'll always be like some drunk people storming and like, oh my God, Rival Sons is playing this place tonight. Nobody even told me. And we're like, we're not Rival Sons.
Yeah, that's right. We're Rival Sons. Come to the stage.
Yeah. Tell your friends. And, yeah, we've had that happen a bunch of times now. We've had to like tell drunk people like, no, I'm prepared to be disappointed. We're not who you think we are.
Is Rival Sons like a big band?
Yeah, it's. I thought like maybe it was just an anomaly. It was only going to happen a couple of times, but no. When it got to like the 10th show that we were explaining to people that we're not Rival Sons, then oh well, we're glued to the name now.
I assume they just catch on once they see me just screaming in their faces that it's not Rival Sons.
You guys should have a shirt or something that says Rival Sons in like giant letters, and then in really tiny letters it says "We're not" right above it.
That's a great idea.
I still like the one T-shirt we have that sold really well. The what was it? Great set, bro.
Great set, bro. You killed it.
You killed it. Yeah.
You had that on a shirt. That's amazing.
Yeah, we had that on a shirt. Yeah, we were happy with that one.
We wanted to make a small run of those shirts that had like a little back disclaimer post that said like, so it goes, great set, bro. You killed it. And then on the back it says, now get your shit off the stage. And,
usually after that's said, there's a request for a piece of your gear. It's never
We actually started touring with so many bands, and after their set, we had to find different things to say, because if we did say that, it would just sound like we were sarcastic assholes. So we had to like really personalize it.
Oh.
Yeah, that's true.
I only said it when I genuinely meant it, and then I didn't ask for gear afterwards. I made like an effort to do that.
I've
can't
lied
even
a few
stop
times.
myself from saying it, man. Like, it just happens. You're standing on stage waiting for them to get their shit off, and you just want to say, like, can you get your shit off quicker, man? Like,
Some people take so fucking long. It's the worst.
Well,
that might be one of my biggest pet peeves in all of music is watching a guy, like, take down his kit on stage, and then some kid wrapping his cables, and you're like, dude, you've clearly never done this. Like, well, now we've got our rigs to a point now where we're planning for touring a lot. We have our rigs to like this mobile thing where it's like we just open our road cases, turn on the power, and we're good. And then we're done. Like, no sitting around fucking around for it. We do have kind of an extensive light setup, which is a bit of a pain. But if we're headlining, then we'll usually try and get that all done before any of the other bands get there. But it doesn't like interfere with any other bands, but it is a little bit of a pain in the ass.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've endured the drummers dismantling their drum kits on stage so many times. It is so annoying. Like, I'm like, dude, you can take that crash cymbal off. Like, you can take it off the stage. You don't need to be packed. It's hallmark of an amateur band.
Oh, and the classic drummer has to use their shells, and they're like in the middle of the set. And they share with anyone else, so that you have to take the whole thing off and put it back.
I think we're all thinking of one individual band right now. But yeah,
we might be. I don't know.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I actually am thinking of a specific band right now.
So are we. I totally know exactly.
That's kind of funny. You had the same experience as us, but
the worst part is like the band is really nice, but they were very adamant on not changing their set position, either like opening or closing, so they wanted to swap out gear, and they were good about it and being able to do it quick. Like, they had a good system being able to do it in like less than 10 minutes, but it's still, everyone knows it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, fair enough.
Oh well, that's part of the game, man. You're always gonna deal with headaches on the road. I had a question for you guys, actually. Have you guys ever what's your grumpiest sound guy experience?
We just had a recent one. Before COVID, right before COVID, at Duffy's.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, ours was like, I actually thought that 6 guys were gonna get into a fight with the sound guy on stage. Like, it was so bizarre. He's like this like old dude who's like completely set in his ways, and I think he was wasted too, so that didn't help. But we rolled in and we're like, our setup's not very complicated. We have like 2 guitars, bass, and 3 vocals, and we need a DI for tracks and stuff. And we're trying to explain this to him, and he's like, "What the fuck do you mean you have a DI, 2 DIs? What the fuck is that? I've done this for 30 years. I've never seen anything like this." And we're like, "Then
you mean you've never seen anything like this?"
What was your DI? Sorry, was your DI just like someone's laptop that you had tracks on? Is that kind of thing?
Our drummer runs it all off like an iPad, and then we have a keyboard player too. So we basically run. We just need two track lines.
Yeah, that doesn't sound too complicated at all. But go on.
Yeah.
No, we bring our own DI and everything too. So it's like all he needs is to just hand us the XLR. We've got it.
Yeah.
But this guy was like screaming at us on stage, calling us to the dirt. And like it's our headlining show too, and the room's pretty full, so we're trying to just like be like, dude, just do your fucking job, man. Like we're very non-confrontational. We like to be sound guys, like non-headaches. But this guy was next level mean.
I thought him and Devo were gonna scrap it out.
That's what I thought. I had to be like, yo, Devo, just tell him to fuck off.
Yo, I walked off the stage. I was getting anxiety. I'm like, what's going on right now? Why is this happening? It's why. This is such a basic setup. I don't understand what the issue is.
Oh man! Yeah, well, a lot of sound guys they want to be musicians, right? And they're they're envious of anyone with any form of success at all. I mean, I think that Krusty and I are probably thinking of the same sound guy right now.
Oh, Ronnie.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Ron right now.
Yeah, I
Do
I
you
don't
wanna
really
go?
care about like using names in this scenario. So
Well, this was also like so long
yeah, it
ago
doesn't
that
matter at this point. It was
yeah.
back in our old band, Gatling. And where were we? Lee's Palace.
Lee's Palace.
Yeah, we were playing a show at Lee's, and we like, in his defense, I mean, we were kind of green at that time. It was our first band. But so we set everything up. It's just a 4-piece band, 2 guitars, one of them sings, bass player, drums, no DIs, pretty easy stuff. The guy's just fucking cussing us out. He's very angry the entire time. And then while Alex is doing his sound check for drums, he's like, do your hi-hat. And Alex like, open or close. Just like, hi-hat. And then Alex plays it a bit. And then he's like, oh, you should have fucking had it open. Like,
Oh my god.
and I think we were like 16 or something. So
Yeah, we were like 16.
We're a little bit
yeah.
meek, right? Like, I
Yeah.
wouldn't take that kind of shit now that I'm 26, 10 years later. But back then, you're a bit intimidated by these kind of guys. Right?
Probably so confused.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was so aggressive. It was like this dirty-looking guy with like a stringy ponytail, like a wife beater. Like he looked like a
Exactly.
drug bender all night. Like it was.
The standard sound guy.
Yeah,
Like, they look like a worn down roadie that just like gave up.
Yeah.
That's what our guy looked like too. But
Yeah, that one stood out, but we didn't really. I mean, we haven't ever had any other really bad ones other than that, I think. But
No, that was the worst one.
yeah.
But what for you guys? A question like what about worst set? Have you ever had a set where you just got off stage and you were like, oh my god, that sucked, we bombed, or has it never happened?
You guys play perfect all the time.
we don't play perfect necessarily, but we run everything off like a click rig. So it's like we're usually, if anything bad happens, it's usually like gear malfunction or something like that.
Yeah.
Someone's shit stopped working or something like that. But I mean, I can think of more scenarios where it was the venue's fault that the show sucked than it was ours necessarily. We played in some place in New York last year. What was that? What was that like weird corner stage, Mike? That had like no real sound. I can't remember the place was called.
In Poughkeepsie?
Binghamton, New York. Or
Binghamton.
something like
It was Binghamton. Yes, it was Binghamton. Yep, that's
And-
right.
it was like on stage, like from the first note, I'm like, this fucking sucks ass. like I could hear like how terrible it sounded on the stage. And we one argument we do have with like smaller type venues that don't have a proper setup is that we've got our whole stage volume thing like dialed. Like we know how to make our band sound fine if you don't have mics for cabs and all that shit. We got it down to like a point where it's gonna sound great. You just mix vocals and keys, and I think we played a couple of stinker venues where it's just like our photographer guy, he'll always be like, "You want to see some video from that?" I'm like, "I don't want to see."
Yeah, no, thank you.
that, please. just discard all evidence you have of the sound in that room. And no, I don't know if this band. Maybe before Mike came, one time we were doing an album release show like 4 or 5 years ago, and we'd been practicing this one intro for like our shows are very like high energy lights and sound and smoke and all that shit. But we had been practicing this one intro, and then like a couple, I think 2 guys like came in on the wrong time completely. And like this never happens to us, and it was like just a train wreck. But
Oh boy.
I tried to save it as quick as I can, and like the only way you can, I find, save yourself in those circumstances is you have to own it and stop and like be hilarious about it. Otherwise, if the you've been in a room where somebody botches something, the whole room can feel that energy.
How deep were
someone
you
looks
into the
like
song?
they're-
Sorry to interrupt.
What's that?
How deep are you into the song? Like, if you stop.
Dude, this was like the first 10 seconds.
Oh,
of the
okay,
show.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it was exactly it. And but like we saved it really quick. We're like, yo, you know what's funny is we practiced that for like 5 months. So we're ready for the rest of the show. And then everyone was like laughing their asses off because we owned it quick and we made it funny. So
Yeah.
because if you have seen enough bands where like somebody will flub something or something will happen and then like that person will just look so defeated, and it just sucks the energy out of the room.
You just got played off like Blink-182 does, like, oh, shit, and then continue on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The sooner you own it and laugh it off, then usually the room will bounce back.
Yeah, and Blink has almost made it like a part of their live set to screw up.
Pretty much.
Like, it's like expected when you go that they're going to
It's like not
stop,
a Blink
right?
show. Well, in Tom days, it wasn't a Blink show unless Tom fucked up at least 3 times.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, as far as screw ups though, I don't think there's been any real major ones with you.
No, I can't think of any that I could say that like we bombed. Obviously, like there was sets that like weren't the greatest, and then there were sets that were great. But like I can't think of any that I could say that we bombed.
Oh, I can think of one and only one, but it was like strange circumstances.
Oh yeah, I wasn't gonna mention that one.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Unless you wanted to mention
It's
it.
up to you guys if you want to discuss
I
it.
don't have to use names. Like we're cool with the guys that we were trying out some a bass player one time, and really cool. He's an awesome guy, all around good guy. But it was his first time gigging in this type of scenario. So
so you brought him out to a show, like to play with you
yeah,
guys.
basically,
Okay.
we're gonna kind of do like a test trial run.
All right.
And he like overall he wasn't really ready yet for that type of level, and you could sort of feel it on stage. Like he looked just terrified, and there was a few points where we're like, man, you gotta just smile, dude, have a good time. There's like no one here. Just you don't have to be scared. Just have fun. And it kind of that was like the first part, and then our click rig went out, and he was so used to playing to this click rig with us, so it kind of flopped the rest of the show. I mean, like overall, we still had a good time, and it wasn't honestly, it wasn't that big of a deal. But he, after that, I don't think he was really looking to do that level of band again.
So he wasn't into it after that.
No, he didn't feel right about it.
Yeah,
it was
that kind of crushed him.
Decision. And we're like, man, I could see it in your face. You're not about this, and like it's if it was one of those things where I think if he came off and he was like, yo, I fucked it, but whatever, we're gonna go again, then you know what, we would have tried again. But I don't think he wanted to really, so we just kind of went a different direction.
Oh, fair enough. So a lot of it was on his end.
Nothing against this guy. He put in the time, and he's a really good dude.
Yeah.
And we had no problems. He could play all the songs fine. It was just it came down to live performing, and just wasn't really his thing.
Oh, absolutely. And that's you'll never know if he like doesn't try to play one show. That was his first show, right? And it's not for everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, there's a lot of guys that there's a difference between like being insane musicians versus being like performers, right? You gotta either have it or you don't, and a lot of it comes down with practice. But if you're just not a performer, then you're just not a performer. And I think with time he could have been, but where our schedule was lining up with a lot of tours and stuff, that
he has to want to, right?
Yeah, we didn't have the time to really put into it, and that's kind of why our old bass player has been lingering with us for years, even though he supposedly quit years ago, and he still plays every show with us, and he's in the new music video, and he's in all the pictures.
Yeah, well, I saw the pictures, and there was like 6 of you guys.
Yeah, he's our bass player.
Don't let him ever tell you that he's not in the band, because he is in the band.
He's in the band.
We'll
it's
have
like
to have
a
him on.
running joke now. He quit a few years ago. 2 years ago, when our singer at the time quit. He was moving on, just doing a different chapter in his life. And then, like last summer, we had a big tour coming up. And I'm like, dude, I need someone to fill in. And he's like, yeah, man, no problem, I'll fill in. And he came back, and it felt, as soon as he walked into the room, it felt like it was supposed to feel. Like the band was like, oh, this is what we're supposed to sound like. And it felt great. And then basically,
even I felt that, and I hadn't even like jammed with Jordan before.
Yeah, and then ever since, it's just like he kind of plays every show, and he's popping up in a lot more pictures. And we just shot a music video a week and a half ago, and he's in the music video.
Fair enough.
But
So
if you ask him though, like point blank, if he was on this call, he would tell you he's not in the band. So,
Yep.
I'll be sure to do that.
He's in the band.
Yeah, so he's just hanging out with you guys for a few years. But Are you when are you gonna have the what are we discussion with him?
Oh, dude, we have that
The
every single
relationship.
show.
Yeah.
Every show, we're like, cool, because people will come over to me like, dude, I thought you quit years ago, and he'll be like, I did, man, and then we're like, but you didn't because you're here, and for a guy that has quit, he sure likes to hang out and spend a lot of time with us.
Yeah, it's funny because usually it's the opposite, where they don't want to like quit the band on paper, but they just fucking don't do anything. Like,
oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah, they're just
Yeah,
like non-committal.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So that I don't know. It kind of works out well for you in a way.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
like
we'll take that over the other one for sure.
It's like a weird thing. It's like your dog dying and your mom saying you could keep it. So we kind of just like kept him around, and he's always been there. But like the band sounds its absolute best when he's a part of it, and he's just like crazy high energy. He matches. It looks right. You can tell. We've done a couple of tours without him and just ran bass tracks, and it sounds fine. It sounds like us, but I mean, there's a different level of energy when he's there with us, and it sounds and looks like Rival Town. So I mean, I'm gonna keep working on him and see how long I can keep him for a few more years.
I've never heard of anything like that before. Sorry, you go, Alex.
I was gonna ask. I might have this wrong, but so, Mike, do you produce other bands? Like, were you the guy doing the hollowcore stuff recently?
Yeah. I'm working with them right now.
Yeah, cool, because we talked to them like a month ago, maybe now.
That's awesome.
And so how did that come about? Did you meet them at a show or something like that?
I worked with the vocalist Austin at Pub Fiction for a long time, so we got along very, very well. And he was in Built by Thieves at the time, but then he made Hollowcore after, and we were hanging out a lot already, and he knew I had a set up, so he convinced Hollowcore to come by my place, and they record here. And I've just been like practicing mixing. Been slowly getting better and better, so that's why I give them really good rates, just because I'm practicing. But we've been having a lot of fun. They have really fun, really good songs, so it's been a blast. I actually can't wait for a lot of people I can't wait for everyone to hear this album. It's going to be really good.
Do you bring anything from Rival Town to Hollowcore? Are you producing them at all? Are there any elements you see yourself musically kind of fusing into that band, or is it strictly like an engineering kind of gig?
Yeah, kind of just like strictly engineering gig. Yeah. I don't really bring anything from Rival Town to them. It's just kind of a separate thing.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Oh, cool.
Have you guys, like Rival Town, have you guys ever worked with any kind of producer or anything? Or have you guys just sort of the songwriting's just been like you two, and I think you said Chris as well, right?
Yeah, Chris as well,
yeah. Right now we kind of self-produce as far as writing goes, but we've on these releases we've the mixing engineers we've went with. I don't know if is that me or you guys. Okay.
That's not me.
That's not me.
Oh, weird.
That was me.
No worries.
Michael. No, but we're. Do you remember Chunk No Captain Chunk?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're producing and mixing this record, and we just like our first single that we're dropping here pretty soon. Like the mix came out just unreal, and we've hooked up a couple of cool, really cool features on this record as well. I can't drop any of that yet, but we're pretty pumped on some of these features we've got too, and I think we've kind of we signed with a different label last fall, and we kind of really wanted this batch of recordings to sort of put us, I guess, in that same caliber with a lot of the big bands we listen to. So we've been sort of investing our time and money a little bit differently into how we do things. Just, you want to be on the same playing field, so you're kind of start falling into that caliber of bands. But we're definitely super, super hyped on how these mixes and recordings are going.
How does it work with the label? Like, do they give you a deadline of when they need a certain number of songs sent to them?
Usually that's how it would work, right? But now with this whole COVID thing, like we kind of we have a label meeting every Friday with all the owners and like interns and bands, and we kind of just discuss how we're gonna do things now. And because I mean, a lot when you put this time to an album, your goal is to eventually tour it, right? But now with that being so up in the air with bands going on tours, we've had to kind of change our whole mindset about how we're going to release stuff.
Yeah.
And I think now, basically, until we get the green light, we're kind of doing like a single by single basis. Basically, we're not announcing like an official record or anything like that. We're just going to keep pumping out like just dope singles, whenever we do, and music videos to just stay relevant in the game. Because the one thing that's a really big bummer is after Useless Hands came out, we were the goal was this summer we were touring that record, and we were supposed to actually leave in like 9 days, Mike, or something like that.
Yep.
And on this like super dope states run for like I think it was like 12 or 13 days, and we had some awesome cities planned. We had like Chicago and Pittsburgh and all these like dope cities we always wanted.
Yeah.
And we had to scrap that whole thing.
I was excited for that one.
But it's almost like that whole album's almost a write-off for touring, because by the time your bands are allowed to tour again, no one wants to tour a 2-year-old album. And so it's like we're just trying to stay relevant by staying in people's timelines and in their playlists.
Yeah, it's tough with COVID. I'm worried about venues surviving. Like once it ends, I mean, what's going to be left?
There's already been a few that are disappointing. They're gone.
Yeah.
The Fox is gone. That was one of my favorite spots.
Yeah, very.
Best venue ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The one thing, like, we were talking about this at our label meeting too, but it's like, it's kind of, it's bad, obviously, but I think what it's going to do is it's going to force bands to kind of think on the other side of the page, right? Like, bands are going to have to get creative, and what I think is going to happen is you're going to see a huge kind of resurrection of the house show tours, which I think would be pretty cool.
I am totally cool with that, yeah.
Because, I mean, like, if venues can't hold anybody, eventually people are going to get fed up, and they're going to say, well, shit, I could pack 60 people into my basement. And then you're going to start seeing like bigger bands doing like these house show runs, like Real Friends and stuff used to do that. And I know that like planning long term, if we can't get into venues because they're either booked up or closed, then we're going to start getting creative and just like booking the craziest places we can just to be able to play.
Well, there are some guys doing that around here. Like I think 3 episodes ago, we were talking to the boys in Moore Ave Underground. And they throw house shows all the time.
Man.
Oh, we love playing there.
You know those guys, fair enough.
Those are our guys, man.
And I think the Single Wound guys, they do a bunch of house shows. I might be wrong on that. Yeah.
I even saw Single Wound play a skate park too.
Yeah, the Kill Room in Hamilton.
That's awesome.
The Morav guys do house shows. Like you were saying, Single Wound does. We did one of the craziest shows we ever played was a house show with the Morav guys about a year ago this time, and it was like I wonder if I could find video footage of it. It is fucking wild. Like I remember like just like looking around the room being like, this, like, I don't know how the cops haven't shut this down yet. This is just absolutely insane.
Well, that's like out there.
Devo punched a hole in the ceiling.
Yeah, so like people were just punching holes in the walls and breaking shit, and it was pretty cool. But I know
oh my god!
Sorry, what?
Are you guys familiar with the Barry band Flight 97?
Yes, I've heard of them before.
Yeah, their guy Adam has put on a couple legendary house shows, and me and him have been talking lately. He's kind of got this whole idea he's been floating around of like cul-de-sac concerts kind of thing, and I think that could be, because I mean everyone can social distance, and we've been sort of discussing the idea of like getting like a dead-end cul-de-sac and just running Jenny's and having everybody stand far apart. As long as all your neighbors know you're going to be done by 11, you could like throw a pretty badass show. But we're just kind of trying to think outside the box now about how to do this.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's cool. Yeah, that's awesome. This is a mild anecdote here, but you were talking about your show with Murav and how it was crazy punching holes in the walls. I recently discovered this band. Have you guys heard of the band Hanatarash?
No.
So they're not around anymore. They were a Japanese band who they were called Japan's most dangerous band, and you can find some photos of them on Google Images. They would do things like they drove a backhoe through a venue during their show.
Shit.
And so there's images of like the venue falling down as their singer is like screaming, jumping out of this construction vehicle, and
That's insane.
yeah. And so they eventually got banned from ever playing anywhere in like the entire country. But yeah, you can Google them and you can find there's like crazy shots of this band. So the question is, would Rival Town ever consider destroying a venue with a backhoe?
That's a good question.
That's just one of those things we got to see if it's in the budget and if the insurance guys will cover it.
We should bring it up at the label meeting.
We've definitely mangled a few. Our whole thing is we've gotten in some trouble for this. This is like, but keep in mind this is like the Teletubbies of destroying things. But we go to Party City and we get those like fucking 4-foot confetti cannons, and like we'll like play a song that has a huge breakdown or something, and then my brother will launch off these confetti cannons in the middle of like a tiny room, and it just looks like absolute chaos in there. And my brother thought it'd be funny to do that in the Morav basement, and I've been
The poor mother was vacuuming that for months.
Yeah, nine months ago, I think we played that show, and like every few weeks, I'll get like a Snapchat from one of those guys being like, "Yo, man, guess what I found today? More confetti." And, it's like that was like 9 months ago, and he's still pulling stuff
They're
out.
making their mom vacuum that. I'm gonna have them back on and reprimand them. They should be doing that.
No, they're a fun bunch.
No,
They're just all around good dudes.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's hilarious, and that's that's harmless too. I mean, that sounds like a lot of vacuuming, but it seems like it.
Yeah,
it's,
it wouldn't.
Yeah, it can be
destroy
cleaned
anything.
up, right?
Well, it's just you sit there like you can't wreck someone's house or venue when you got like $20,000 worth of backline on the stage, because you're gonna get your shit fucked up too. So it's there was a Hard Times article I remember seeing one time. It was like, yeah, this vintage priceless tube amp's a great place to set down your beer, man. Go for it. And
Yeah.
it's always anxiety-inducing experience.
Oh man, yeah. Well, when we did the Warped Tour, there was a giant gust of wind at one point, and we had a tent set up and everything, and we had all our equipment kind of lined at the back of the tent, and there was this band in front of us who, I forget who they were, some random band, and the wind blew their cooler over, and so all the water and the ice and like it all spilled all over, all like the merch.
Oh,
I think I remember that.
Yeah, that was like a heart attack moment.
Didn't we play the same year?
Yeah, we did. We
Yeah,
with
you
Fawcett,
Fawcett was on the bill.
Yeah.
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 that was. You guys didn't get any water on your stuff, I'm gathering.
No.
Oh man, yeah, that was a fun time.
that would have been a cool show to play. It's one of those things I think every band kind of wishes they got to do, that whole Warped Tour deal.
It'll come back.
It's still
Yeah, it has
around, kind of. Like, they're still doing something. I think it's just, like, staying in the States, though. Well, I mean, obviously not right now with COVID, but...
Yeah, I suspect it'll come back though in 5 or 10 years, like a full-fledged thing. It's too like valuable a property almost not to.
I agree.
It makes too much money.
Mm-hmm.
That's if whether or not they do it with Kevin Lyman, right? They might maybe he'll let go of it or something, and they'll just keep going on with it. But
Like, I read somewhere recently that Franz from Attila wanted to take it on.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
you know what?
Well,
I'd be fine with that as long as he didn't play it himself. I feel like he could do a good job managing it. Like,
Oh god.
For sure.
Oh man. Okay, we're closing in on an hour. So do you guys have anything you want to plug? Any other any bands you want to shout out? Any upcoming stuff? Anything you want to say to the people?
What do we want to plug, Mike? I mean, obviously, Mike does his rival Crown engineering and
Any
video
music
shit.
videos or lyric videos and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah. As far as me, I do. I have a studio that I do record bands in called Smoothie Studio, and so if anyone's looking to do anything like that, as far as the band goes, you can find us on all social media. We're on, everything. We've got a website, rivaltownband.com, and pick up our last album, Useless Hands, and be on the lookout very shortly. I'm talking shortly for a something pretty cool we're dropping here soon, and I think that's really kind of all we're plugging right now.
Something cool.
Cool.
Like, are you got any hints for us, or?
Well, I mean, probably new music would be the easiest thing to go. Nothing that cool. I'm just trying to sound like, ominous, but
Yeah.
not nothing that cool. But as far as like, I haven't been this excited about new music in a very long time. So it's I'm more excited about this than I was on anything off of Useless Hands, arguably. So I mean, I'm pretty hyped on I think what we're dropping and how the people are going to respond.
Mhm.
Well, that's
sick.
Yeah.
We'll be checking it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
We'll throw all the links to your stuff in the description. And yeah, thanks for coming on today, boys. It was a fun time talking.
Thanks for having us,
Yeah,
guys.
much appreciated.
And yeah, it'd be fun to talk again, maybe in 20 episodes.